next few days, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. Since about the middle of the fall, things have been really ramping up, but now it's time for the big event. All the players will meet on the battlefield to determine who is going to win the Super Bowl. What's that? Iowa caucus. Those aren't for a while. Monday?
The Iowa caucus is in just 6 days, and while it is super important for the 4 candidates currently locked in a statistical tie at the top of the polls right now, Biden, Warren, Sanders, and Buttigieg, it is also important to note the other campaigns in this race for whom the Iowa caucus may be a pivotal moment in their campaigns and their future. So, we are going to rank how important this Iowa caucus is with our favorite segment, an arbitrary ranking system. First up on the arbitrary ranking system Iowa edition are the candidates who don't matter. Now I say that because, well, they don't really matter. They don't have a shot of winning or doing well or mattering in Iowa. These are their names. I'll flash by some pictures of their faces that I found on Google. And that's about it for these guys. I would say that Iowa is a make or break state for them. But let's be honest, it's most likely a break state because after Iowa, if not shortly before, they're most likely going to drop out because they've run out of money and support and plausibility and patience with the people of this country. So look for these 3 people to be on election night making a dropping out speech. It probably won't be covered very much. So yeah, I put them first because I didn't want to be mean, but I guess I ended up being more mean to them now that I included them on the list. So maybe you should just forget that I ever said them. Well, actually, you probably already did. Next up on the arbitrary ranking system is Hawaii Representative Tulsi Gabbard. Now, the reason why Tulsi is not on the list of candidates who don't matter, even though she's polling dangerously close to them, is because her campaign strategy is a little bit different than those candidates. Her candidates really does rely on a win in Iowa, while hers has been more focused on a win in New Hampshire primary. She's been doing better in polling there than she has been in Iowa, so I don't believe that Iowa will be a make or break state for the Hawaii Congresswoman. However, I think if she does perform dismally, and as dismally as she's projected to in Iowa, that will not bode well for her in New Hampshire and her campaign in the long run. I do believe she will not do well in Iowa or New Hampshire, and she will end up dropping out after New Hampshire. So I do think that Iowa, a strong performance for her there, would be very beneficial to her campaign. But again, I don't rank her quite as low as I did those other 3, whatever their names were. Next up is billionaire, Tom Steyer. Look, I really don't like Tom Steyer. He's not going to do well in Iowa. Probably won't do well in New Hampshire, despite the fact that he's spending millions of dollars there. But I don't think it's going to be a make or break state for him, unfortunately. He has the money to stay in the race, really as long as he wants, unfortunately for all of us. I mean, he's probably going to stay in it until Nevada and South Carolina, at least, because he's doing pretty well in some polls there. Hopefully, if he does do poorly in those states, he'll drop out. He might stay until Super Tuesday when it's his home state of California. Maybe he'll drop out to give an endorsement. I don't know, but that's all pretty far in the future. I do think Tom Steyer will do poorly in Iowa, and I don't think he'll care. Because why would he? He already has no point to be running. We made a video about that. Next up is Amy Klobuchar. The Minnesota Senator's chances here in Iowa are pretty cut and dry. If she doesn't win, or do well, at least better than Joe Biden or Pete Buttigieg, then her campaign is pretty much toast. Can we move on now? Because she's kind of boring. Next up is entrepreneur and philanthropist Andrew Yang. By the way, if you want a tongue twister, try saying entrepreneur and philanthropist like 5 times. It's very difficult. Anyways, Yang has had a surge in polls in Iowa and New Hampshire, as well as now qualifying for the first of 3 February Democratic debates. 3 debates, oh boy. Anyways, getting back to Yang, he has not been able yet to break into the top tier of Democratic contenders, still remaining below Buttigieg, Warren, Biden, and Sanders, who are the top 4 in the Democratic primary field. However, Yang has distinguished himself from that lower tier of candidates, with Gabbard and Steyer and Bloomberg and all the others, who are trying to nip at his heels right now as the leader of this middle tier in between the upper and lower tiers right now of the Democratic Party. The question is whether Yang can convert his success online and in these most recent polls to a strong, surprising performance in Iowa. Now, it's not 100% a make or break state for Yang, as he will most likely stay in the race beyond Iowa and in New Hampshire and Nevada and South Carolina, as he's had enough fundraising and ground game to cover it. However, Yang really does need to prove here that he can translate his support to an electoral victory. So the goal for him is to do well in Iowa, and if he does so, I think he will be able to rise to that top tier of presidential candidates. In less than a week, we'll have the first vote in the nation for the Democratic primary for president, and that may just be the last chance for many of the Democratic hopefuls. But regardless of what happens on Monday night, February 3rd, we'll be here to cover it all the following day on 2020 Tuesdays.